Everyone, welcome to the PrepZone Podcast. I'm your host, Estevao Divino, and I have you with me, Coach David Goldshore and Jake Goldshore, father-son duo for the Wreckers. How you guys doing today?
Good, yeah.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for having us, Steve.
Of course. First off, happy Father's Day.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I hope it's
Happy
a great...
Father's Day to you, too.
Thank you very much. Yeah, like we're in the same boat, right?
Happy Father's to both of you.
Thanks, Jake. Appreciate that. Yeah. Listen, before we get going here, I know you've been here before. You need no introduction, but I do want to run through some of the stuff. Also, so you're going to be entering your third year as a head basketball coach for the Wreckers this year. You were the 2022 News 12 Coach of the Year. Got the Wreckers to the first state final there. It was really cool. During the 1990s, you were part of the Michigan Fab Five, Coach Steve Fisher. You were a three-sport athlete at Chappaqua, New York before moving to Michigan. And you're a long-time Westport resident, heavily involved in the work of youth leagues in town. The other day, somebody was telling me that you coached their kid in PAL football. Is that true? Like flag football, right? Like, oh yeah, he was my coach. Because you were seeing all this stuff on the channel. I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm like, oh yeah, he was our coach. And all great stories. It was awesome.
That's funny.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
And your son, Jake Goldshore, is here. So, Jake, you're starting catcher for the Staples baseball team this year. Is your junior year, right? So you started as juniors, senior year coming up. You got the team to state championship for the second year in a row. You guys were there. Yeah. And I remember a lot of guys talking about how you called a good game. Like I talked to pitchers, oh yeah, Jake called a really good game. That's really cool. And one highlight from the season I thought was like when you hit that home run when Coach Mark Fallen's 300th win.
Yeah. Right,
you hit that home run at 5. That was a really cool game, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I was going into that game, I was really struggling. So like the fact that it happened during that game and kind of like boost, it was a big boost for my season for sure. But yeah, it was awesome. Yeah,
because that's a historic game, right? That was a historic game. So that's going to go like, I know Coach McFarland will always remember, oh yeah, my 300th win. Oh yeah, Jake hit that home run, right? That's how I was going to go down.
Yeah, it's a cool picture because there's one of where, I think you posted it, where Jake's coming around third and he shakes Coach McFarland.
Yeah, that was very cool.
For his 300th win, legendary Jack. So it was great. It was great to see that he had a part of that.
Oh, it was amazing. Well, but before we get into all that, I want to do a little exercise with you guys. There's a pen and a pad for you, so I want you both to take that. Audience, I'm going to keep them honest if you're watching or listening. So I'm going to ask questions, and I want to see how well they know each other. So no cheating. You're going to look at the side, okay? So the first question is going to be for Coach Goldshore. So you're going to answer, and Jake, you're going to write down the answer and figure out who gets it right, all right? Sure. So Coach Goldshore.
I'm going to write the answer here.
Yeah, you write the answer there, then you show them to me, you'll figure it out, okay? So Coach Goldshore, what is Jake's favorite hobby or thing he likes to do in his free time?
You know before me. Anything I like to do.
What do you got?
Jake loves watching tornado videos.
Is that true, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, I was between that, but I was also like, I thought maybe he would say something like sports cards, maybe.
Sports cards. I love sports cards, so I have a huge collection. Yeah. So tornadoes and all right, we're all for one.
Not so many people know that, but yeah, big tornado guy.
Big tornado guy.
Tornado guy.
Yeah. So have you've seen Sharknado, I'll bet.
Yeah. A lot of tornado movies. I don't know, it's just something that like interests me. Something outside of baseball that's like.
I do too. Like I think I've watched Sharknado a few times. I'm one of those quote followers. Love that. All right, so Coach, for you again.
Yep.
What is the one thing that Jake is really good at and that you're most proud of? What do you think he's gonna say, Jake?
One thing that
we do live in the same house, right?
No, we do.
Yeah, that's right. I just think
we do. The winter, I don't really see them.
That's true.
That's true. The basketball, yeah.
That's true. In the spring, I don't see you. So,
well, you guys got the summer and the fall.
Yeah.
Summer and fall. There you go.
I'm gonna go interesting route here.
All right. Coach, what do you got?
I actually think Jake's a great leader. One thing I saw from Jake, even just before the state championship game, was, and he's taken a big leadership role, I think, with this team being a catcher and stuff, but getting the kids all pumped up and ready to go. And
I have a picture of that right before the championship game. You were talking to the team. I absolutely vouch for that.
Talking to the team. So I just think he's a great leader.
What have you got, Jake?
I said that I thought that maybe you said I was, like a good person and stuff like that. But I think that's
I think it's close enough.
Yeah.
I'll give you guys that. I'll give you that one. All right.
Yeah.
Coach Goldshore, what is Jake's favorite singer or artist? That he went right for it. Any idea?
All time, for sure, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is because also because Jake and my wife Lauren, I think, share the same love for music. So I'm going to say Biggie.
I said Eminem.
You said Eminem. That's right.
That's right.
Eminem. That's right. That's my bad. It is
right.
Eminem. That's right. But Lauren and him listen to Biggie, and Jake listens to Eminem. So yeah.
Well, I'm a big Biggie fan. Biggie and all of those guys. Yeah, that's like old school rap.
Yeah.
I love that. That's what I'm into. I always play it in the car for the kids. They go, Dad, this is great. My younger one's really picking up to it. Yeah, absolutely.
I know it's Father's Day, but thanks, Mom, for introducing me to that.
To that, right? Yeah, I love that. All right, Coach Goldshore, what is Jake's favorite Westport restaurant?
Oh, easy.
What do you got?
Mickey D's.
Mickey D's, what do you got?
I was gonna ask if we were doing fast food or not, but it'd probably be McDonald's.
There you go. All right, I like that.
Yeah.
All right, and this is kind of a layup, but we'll see. Coach, what is Jake's favorite sports team across all sports?
Don't overthink it.
Yeah, I would just say he's a big Yankee fan.
Yeah.
Yankee.
Yeah,
all right, cool. Very cool. All right.
Yeah, I mean, Jake likes, we're Giants fans, Yankee fans. Not huge NBA fans, but like one thing that also he's done. Obviously, we talked about me being a Michigan grad, so he's jumped on the bandwagon with the Wolverines, both football and basketball.
Got it.
It's a good conversation to have with friends.
Oh yeah, it is right.
NBA or NCAA.
It's always a good one.
Yeah.
All right, so now we're gonna flip the screen. So Jake, you're gonna answer first about your dad. All right, let's go. What was your dad's first job?
All right.
Out of college or out of ever? What was the first thing he told you that he worked at?
I think ice cream.
I did. I served ice cream at Ben and Jerry's in Mount Kisco, New York. That was my first job.
Yeah.
Look at that. All right, one for one. I like that.
I remember him telling me that because they really want me to find a job right now.
There you go. Yeah. Any job is a job, right?
Yeah, that's great. I remember,
right.
scooping ice cream.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Jake, what is your dad's biggest fear or something he's afraid of?
Oh, this is easy. I'm just gonna say it. The heights.
Yeah, I hate
Heights.
I can't stand heights. He knows. I get very nervous. So even driving over a bridge or walking,
My oldest son's like that too. Like we sometimes we go to the Outer Banks. We pass over the Chesapeake Bay Bridge, right? And that big bridge is like he can't take it. But
yeah, it's just
all right.
with it.
Jake, what is your dad's favorite movie or TV show?
Hoosiers.
Hoosiers. There you go. Man, he knows you. He's got you down as a man. All right.
He knows Hoosiers. Hoosiers is my favorite movie of all time.
Jake, what is your dad's favorite vacation spot or type of vacation?
Ooh, favorite vacation spot.
Or type of vacation. It can be like, something you guys enjoy to go as a family, like since you.
I would say. I'd probably say we started going to the Hamptons with the family, so I'd probably say Hamptons.
Yeah, we go on a
Cape
trip.
Cod.
Yeah, Cape Cod. We go to Cape Cod, or we go to the Hamptons once a year as a family, and
that's awesome.
It's been a nice tradition that we've had, and it's just kind of gets us away from everything, which is great.
Yeah, and I like both those spots too, and I like about it is you can drive there, you can control your trip.
Yes.
Right, yeah. You can know when you're getting there, right? Within reason with traffic, but yeah, it's absolutely the same way. I'm the same way.
For sure.
All right, and I guess it's going to be another layup. What's your dad's favorite sports team?
I'm going to actually take the safe. I'm not even going to say the Knicks. I'm just going to say Michigan basketball.
Yes.
Michigan basketball. It has to be.
Yeah, Michigan basketball.
But like the Knicks, we're Knicks fans, and like, like I don't know about him, but like I can like watch the NBA. I'm also younger, and like it's tough to like completely not watch the NBA.
Right,
but,
yeah.
We'll like watch playoff games together and like stuff
Especially
like that.
now, the Knicks. I mean, they're getting good. So it's like there's nothing like Knick basketball.
They are. But definitely during the winter, if I'm not dealing with the high school team, in one way, shape, or form, we're watching Big Ten basketball and usually watching Michigan.
Yeah,
Or UConn. Yeah, we've gotten on the UConn.
Oh, really?
No one like went to UConn, but like it's UConn and
you're a
Dan
Connecticut,
Hurley,
right?
like, he loves
exactly.
Yeah, I'm a big Hurley guy. So
yeah, and that team's and that's the thing. I mean, he's experienced a lot of success in that program, right? I mean, I think it really breeds it really well. Well, I think you guys are great. So it looks like you guys really know each other. So that's awesome, right? So and I want to start off with this, and I think I'll start with you, Coach. It's really hard for sometimes parents to coach kids.
Yeah.
And I know you coach Jake at several different levels. What has been the success to kind of, you guys just go through this ride together and kind of keep, obviously the friendship and everything that you guys know about each other? Anything you think has been a secret for that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, the nice thing, to be honest, is, he doesn't play basketball. And I don't coach baseball anymore. But
Right.
we did spend a lot of time, I did coach him all the way through Little League and coach him through his all-star teams. And I think it was just, it's a big part of our relationship. It's been a big part, maybe at times too big a part of our relationship, but it's been a big part. And I think we've just have a respect, the work that he does as a catcher, and me, the work that I do as a coach. And, I know Coach McFarland has, very close in relationship with his
Right.
catchers. And when I coached Jake in Little League, we just constantly interacted and kind of taught him a little bit about pitch calling or what it meant to control the game from behind the plate from a coach. Because really, if you look at all the major league managers, they're all ex-catchers. So we kind of just built respect that way.
How about from your standpoint, Jake? What's been the coolest thing? And I guess, the key thing about, having your dad coach you all these years?
Yeah, so I think like he said, like he coached our all-star team, and I think like at the time, like it's easy to say like, oh, like we yelled at each other a lot, and it was like the car rides after games were sometimes hard, but like take like this year for example, like the stuff that I learned from him in the past while he's coaching has really like made our relationship even stronger.
Sure.
It's like take the Ward game for example. Like I know the night before we were kind of like staying up, like doing some like scouting on the players, and like when we got that last out, kind of like looking up at him like at the last out, you were like almost like we did it, and it was kind of like and that to me is like it's an awesome relationship that like although there were some tough times, it's really like ended up being awesome.
Yeah, and my next question was, do you guys talk about it? Obviously you do. Discuss games and strategy at home as a pair, right? How do you think that helps, I guess we'll start with Jake, on the field, having, your dad kind of, because it does, right? I mean, especially like you said, you look at him like almost something will happen. How do you think that really helps you in the field?
Yeah, so when I was younger, he actually surprised me one morning. We went to a meet and greet with Derek Jeter, and we talked to him, and the biggest thing he said was preparation. So like me being like, this is my first time playing these big games this season, like being able to like go into the game, like knowing what pitches I can call, like will help with my emotions and my stress, knowing that like I prepared in that aspect. So like even though we lost in the Amity game, like I knew that I went into that game like and I prepared for it, and whatever happened, and it kind of lowers some stress. So I think that's like one of like the biggest things that he's helped me with it a lot.
For sure. And how much do you enjoy doing that, Coach?
It's great.
We're sports junkies. You can tell. I can tell.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah,
we talked about
exactly.
that the other thing. So, it's hard because, I know him and I've coached him for a long time. At the same time, he plays for a Hall of Fame coach who has done an awesome job and will continue to. And so it's learning when not to pick and choose the spots that I talk to him, and when to kind of that he needs to do what he needs to do.
Yeah.
So, and it's been, at times maybe I've been a little bit too overbearing with him with that, but I think it is great. Like after the Ward game, he came over and he was, we talked about, he executed the plan that he put together. I just sat there and kind of just agreed or disagreed with him, but the plan that he put together was...
Shout out to Andrew Oppenheimer for helping complete that plan.
Yeah, Andrew helped us.
Yeah, but
Andrew helped you for sure.
But it's so great because I feel like you guys do, after I go to your game, same thing with the basketball, that I feel like I want to get home and talk about it, right? It's almost like, back in the day, I think about sports talk radio, you would like, after you watch the game, you go home, listen to the guys talk about the game. And it kind of like brings everything down. It seems like you guys do that together. How much does that kind of helps you move on to the next thing and kind of evaluate your games and your game plans?
So the one thing about this year that I noticed a lot more is there was talk before the game and then there was talk after the game, but it wasn't like too intense, or like we kind of like touch on what would happen and then kind of move on. I said like I talked to him kind of because he's coached me a lot, so like the getting feedback from him and like all that stuff is interesting. So I thought we like did a really good job of like, even if there were times where I had not great games this year, and
happens,
like
yeah.
being able to know that I'm like I can go back home and have support, and being able to like if he starts like kind of like talking a lot about like mechanics and all that, to be able to like feel comfortable saying like, all right, like I understand and be able to move on from that. But like I think that's also what helped a lot in the second half of the season. Like even like the Amity game, I was 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts that were sliders that were down and away in the dirt. But like being able to like leave the field and him say he was proud of me was probably like the most awesome thing to hear.
You're going to be a dad one day. We're going to be proud of you guys no matter what.
Right.
Just the fact that, I mean, it's like, I remember being that first game. Remember the first game was a Ward, right? It was a cold day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like literally right behind there. I was literally right behind where you were catching. And Kai was throwing hard that day. It was cold or whatever. And I thought about it. I was like, man, it's got to be nuts to be a catcher, right? I mean, this cold weather and doing this, it's so tough. And Coach, how do you, as a dad, and I think this goes beyond just being a dad that coaches, but what is the key? Because I sense in his voice that there's a really you can talk to him, and not really and do it in a positive way. How do you do that?
Well,
I think a lot of parents,
and he'll laugh when I say it's like it's been a big struggle of mine, right? Because I've had to figure out, and I'm not there yet, but I'm every day working harder to figure out how to communicate with now a 17-year-old boy who's taller than me, who is, I can't believe I admitted it, but he's taller than me, who now has his own maturity and his way of doing things. And the thing that I've tried to work on is allowing him to come to me when he wants to talk, right? And again, I think if I get impatient with that a little bit, but a lot of the times now I will say something and then he'll come to me and say, Dad, what do you think about this? Or I feel like this happened, or let's work on this, or are you ready to focus on whatever it is that we do or what happened? So a lot of it is just allowing him to initiate it. Because if I initiate it, I'm starting to learn that I'm not getting a whole heck of a lot anymore, Steve.
No.
So
right, but also I think one big thing is too, like subconsciously, if I know that if I come home or something, or he brings it up, I know he cares. So like, even though it might not be I might not want to hear it at that given time, like I know that like I'd rather him say something than almost like him not even acknowledge it at all, like that.
100%.
Yeah, and like his job is really hard. Like the job of the catcher is really hard, and he's in a crouch for 100, 110 pitches, twice a week, and then he's expected to be able to go up there and hit, and I just assume that he needs to figure it out, but it's hard, right? And it's not not easy, but he's done a great job, and I think I'm just proud of him.
Listen, catching is so hard that I took my younger son out of baseball. So Brian was playing baseball, like I think it was 3rd, 4th grade. He was doing great outfield, and then until they put him in catching. He goes, I am never going on the baseball field again. He goes, this is not happening ever. I said, you don't even know. It's like, you don't understand. The guys are throwing the ball at me. It's like, it's hard.
I was, I played quarterback in high school and I pitched in leadership roles, but the one thing that I think my biggest regret is not catching, because it's just, I think it just teaches so much about character and teamwork and leadership and communication, and so many life lessons that I see that you can learn from that position that I've seen him develop just watching him from afar. Yeah. So it's pretty cool.
So for this season, what has been like, I guess, one moment that you recollect on and say, man, this was a cool moment of this season?
It's going to be a little bit of a surprise, but when we played Trumbull in the FCAT game, Oppie was pitching, but it was like a 12, 13 pitch at bat, and the kid kept fouling balls off. And, it's one of those things that, like, not many people will look at and see, but, like, when you're on the field and when you're a part of, like, an at bat like that, like, that's something that's pretty memorable to me. So, like, the fact that, like,
well, how did the at bat finish?
Well, we ended up striking the kid out.
Was that in the 6th or 5th inning?
Yeah, I think so.
Right,
it was a big at bat. It kept the game 3 nothing, I think, and obviously we didn't end up winning. But like it was like a combined, like, him like keep throwing strikes and me like kind of like being back there to be like, keep attacking, and that feeling like when he got the strikeout and coming off the field was almost if not better than hitting a home run. Like that's just.
That's really cool.
And again,
Yeah.
I was thinking about this actually before I got here. I don't think I've missed him receiving a baseball. I could probably count on one hand how many pitches since he's been 7 years old that I've missed watching him receive a baseball. And it was that strikeout he got. It was a low pitch, and he did a really good job of bringing it up. And his emotion that he showed after the strikeout was like no other emotion. And he's emotional. You'll see him pump the fist a lot, but that was an emotion I've never seen.
See, that's something only someone who's followed him his whole career will know.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the familiarity part of it that you really can't get unless you're with the person all the time. Right?
Yeah, and him and Andrew are so tight, too, that I think it was like the two of them, and they've worked together for 10 years, and it was like in the biggest spot of their lives at that moment to fight through that and to be able to get the kid, looking on like a 3-2 curveball or 3-2 fastball. It was pretty cool to watch.
And I think, like, I reminisce a little bit on that season. It's like the Ward game, the semifinal game to me was incredible, right? I mean, the way you guys played that game and you fought through that game. Because, and I asked Andrew, I said, he gave up the tying run, and then coach kept him in, and he still pitched like great after that. And that's mental preparation, right? Because you got to kind of forget what just happened in that. So, Jake, how much does it really go mental for you? How do you prepare for these games? Because, like I said, you call in a game, right? You're back there, everybody's kind of relying on you. Would you do anything special for those games, cap scenario, or any kind of game?
I've actually come to realize that like the last I just try to. It's hard because it's hard to explain because it's almost like thinking less. Like for me, like, I during like the middle of the season I was struggling and I texted like a former Staples baseball player, and I'm sure like you've heard of him, Chad Knight, and like the biggest piece of advice he gave me was to use this term like in the grand scheme of things, and like in the grand, like if I throw a ball away, which happened multiple times this year, it's like in the grand scheme of things, like that happens and you move on. And like that, for some reason, like something clicked in my mind with that, and it really just helped me throughout the rest of the season. And yeah, that was probably like one of the biggest things, because it's tough. Like since I catch, it's not like I can like strike out and then go out to I'm not like dissing a position, but I can't really like strike out and like then not get a ball the next inning. So like I'm able to like kind of get away with like being mad at myself. Like I'm out, and then now I'm catching 87 from Kai, and like I'm pitch calling, and it's like you have to forget it right away.
Yeah.
But it almost forces you to forget it, so it's like a good thing.
And I think it's a good thing because, like, I don't know, like I'm a big Ted Lasso fan, right? And then he talks about be a goldfish, right? Goldshore, goldfish, right? Remember, just go with that. Like that, how I plug that in there. There you go, right? But and then, Coach, you're, and I think like, and I'm just gonna say that I think we're really happy with Jake. I mean, you've done it at the highest level. You've coached at the highest level. There's to coach, Division I basketball. Is there anything that you've helped him mentally with his game, and things like that you think have made a difference in his play?
Not really. I think it's hard for a father coach to do that. I think the thing that I've realized in this whole process is he's got to really do it himself and figure out what works for him, because what works for me mentally doesn't necessarily work what works well for him mentally. I think he said it, though, earlier. The only thing I harp on him, if there's anything I harp on, is just being prepared, right? That thing, the story that he says about Jeter, who was, I think we would both agree, if not the best in pressure situations in that sport of all time that we ever watched.
Yeah.
To say that when he was 10, okay, like being prepared takes all of the mental anxiety out of what I do was helpful. So I just kind of keep reminding him of that and doing the work. And if he does the work and he prepares, you got to live with the outcome.
Right. And
I love what he said. I love what he said when he called Chad and what Chad said to him, because it resonated with him. Right. That's the thing. Jake he cares. He's always cared. And at times probably too much. So, for Chad to sit there and say, in the grand scheme of things, everything's going to be okay, that really resonated with him.
Yeah, and I think it's like, and being around these teams and this, I've kind of understood that these players and you coach, you guys care so much about this process of anything that you're doing, right? And the outcome is the outcome. I mean, sometimes there's a lot of things out of your control in these games, but the fact that players show emotion, right, and they cry on the eliminator, or you see them sad, it shows how much they care about the process. And now I want to say something here, and I'm going to mention it, but I want you to just talk about in general. In the Trumbull game, I saw that Luke and Coach really got into it. And I'm not going to talk about that. I want to say is like, what kind of relationship, and it seemed like it was a very tight relationship that you guys have within your club. Mm-hmm. Is that really what happens there with the coach? You guys are really like, you can talk to each other, you can demand things of each other, but at the end of the day, you guys are going for the same too. Is that really what happened there?
Yeah, I think that in the start of the year, the idea of chemistry was a little bit, it was hard throughout the grades, but almost like, whatever would happen with Luke and McFarland was more of a function of like two guys that are super, super competitive and want to win.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
That's like, I get into it with him. It will be like Districts 12U and I'm yelling at him from behind the plate. Like there's no like harsh feelings. It's just
true.
A lot of guys that really, really care and really want to win. And like, yeah, that's just like what a captain. That's what Luke. You want to win, and Coach wants to win, and yeah, I mean,
and again, I took it for a very positive thing, right? Because you could see like it, right? You talk to each other, then you move on, right? Because you both want the same thing. And Coach, and I've sat close to your bench, and I think you do the same thing. Like you demand a lot of your players, and I think that brings success, right? So, is there a fine line between demanding too much or not, or are you always like pushing the guys to be better?
Listen, I think you can demand everything. You can demand everything if I think, and you can speak to this from a player's perspective, but if they feel like you love them, right? Like if they believe that you love them, then you can demand everything from them. If there's a lack of trust there, then I think when you try to demand something, it's hard to get the results that you're looking for. So
the best thing I heard from McFarland when I was struggling, the best thing I heard from McFarland was to stay loose and not play tight. And when you hear that from your head coach, along with what I learned from Chad, that also really helped me. Like hearing it from like the guy who's at the top, who's responsible for whether you're playing or not.
Yeah.
Like to hear it from him was huge and helped me a lot.
Yeah. And I think I saw you say that a couple of times. Like there was one game where I think Sam came to you and said, "Coach, this is on me," and you said, "Don't worry about it. This is on us." Right? Wasn't there something like that? After a game, he came like that to you?
Yeah. It was the Norwalk game, and it was the night that Brown had 50, and it was just a great performance. And it doesn't matter what he did, but and I said, "No, this is on me."
Yeah,
right?
I specifically remember that because I was close enough to hear that.
This is on me, and we got better. And our relationship, my relationship with Sam is a great one too, and that's where. But he'll draw back at me, and there's a time I remember we were telling the story with Coach Pickens last night where I think it might have been the one of the Wilton games, and we went to get Sam with like 3 minutes to go because we just felt like he needed a breather, and he turned to Coach Pickens and he goes, "What are we, 5 in, 5 out now?" So he was just like
I love that.
He's just drawing at us, and
that's my style of coaching, the spreadsheet, 5 in, 5 out, right? That's
it. So we kid with that a little bit, but yeah, it's again, I don't know what goes on in their dugout, and he doesn't really know what goes on in my bench, but there's mutual respect, and as I think Jake articulated really well, it's people, competitive people. The only thing they want to do is win.
Yeah.
And if people come from that place and hear it from that place, the rest of it's just noise.
Agree. I really feel like you can tell somebody's heart when they're talking to them, right? I mean, I really, this is my thing. I always think like if someone comes at you yelling, but you can kind of feel where their heart is at. Now, you guys are very competitive. Tell me something in a family competition. What is family competition like? Is it video games? Is it backyard? What is the biggest family competition you guys got going on?
To me, the family competition, I mean, it's usually always sports. So, like, if we're like, I don't play golf. My younger brother, Justin's like he's a pretty good golfer. He golfs. So, like, stuff like when we're, like, be at the range and it's like, oh, like, let me step up. And, like, me and Justin are kind of it gets competitive with him. Like, that stuff.
I don't know. But the big thing, I mentioned it before, but the big thing recently has been the height. You know,
Really?
Right, yeah.
You know, we.
I like walk in the house laughing and be like, let's go to the bathroom. Let's go check the mirror.
Lauren, and you remember the old school lines that you draw on like the wall? So Lauren pulled out the line the other day, and she's like, you know, Jake's got you, Dave. And so.
You're probably just going to shrink because as we get old, we shrink, right?
Yes.
Isn't that how?
I feel like
I know that's what happens.
Yeah. So I mean, we compete about a lot of things. It could be anything that we're doing in the moment. You know, it could be we're playing Moncala and we're competing in Moncala, or we're shooting free throws or whatever it is that we're doing when we do, or we have a catch and you know you throw the ball hard at me and then I throw the ball hard back in hand.
The night before the state championship game, I was kind of like, I might have a ring before you.
That's
like
nice.
Like that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the Manning family tradition here. Get it this Thanksgiving, who's got more rings, more championships, right? Well, you've both been in title games, so that's pretty good.
We're 0-5 in title games.
Listen,
so we got some work we got to do, but
you got plenty of time, right? That's plenty of time.
Yeah.
And then what is like? Is there like a cool family tradition you guys can share with us? Something you guys do as a family that's like really cool? I've seen a lot of good stuff on your Instagram, like you put family, you guys are always out together as a family. It's really cool. But is there something like on the background that you can tell everyone you guys do as a family?
I mean, like, so I would say like, we get super, super busy. So the times that the family hang out, there's no like maybe like designated times or designated traditions, but like you said, like when we go out to dinner and stuff like that, those are like those moments where it's like it's a break from basketball, break from baseball, break from college, because Jordan goes to college and she comes back after 9 months, so like stuff like that, and like even like the vacation to the Hamptons that we had done, like everyone's home, so stuff like that.
Lauren's also the glue to the family,
right?
She really is.
Definitely.
I mean, definitely.
No, I'm not saying
it's all. Trust me, I agree. I agree. Mom, Lauren, she's the glue to the family. So what she'll do is, the kids love music, right? So she'll blast music and start dancing around the house. I'm usually watching TV and she's dancing around with the kids or whatever it is. Like
Tupac or Biggie.
Yeah,
that's so cool. That is so cool.
Lauren, and I think I have to do a better job of making sure that we do the traditions. Whether it's we're going to the Hamptons or we're going to the Cape or we're going to dinner. But a lot of, as Jake said, a lot of our lives, have been on I've been on a court or a field or
like even like so with my sister, like it's not even maybe as like a whole family, but like maybe like I'll go with my sister to the beach and stuff like that. Especially like now, like it's like we're like half a day of school to come home, and it's like. I didn't realize how much I miss my sister until like she comes back or she leaves for college for 9 months.
And you realize
stuff
that.
like
so
stuff
cool.
like that is like
it is right. It's those little moments, right, that you really can't describe, but you spend together. Like I think we, I'll tell you guys one other story. So we, something like that. We were traveling somewhere and we stopped for lunch, and it was close to Virginia, and it was like water, right? And I turned to the person and I said, "You guys have fresh fish here, right? Because you're close to the water." And the entire family started laughing at me. He says, what kind of, because the waiter just looked at me like I was out of, but it's a little thing. It's a very stupid thing that as a family we'll never forget.
Yeah.
Right.
And this is, talking about Father's Day. I lost my dad on the FCI final day. I don't know if you knew that.
I remember that. I'm so sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
But I bring that up because like it's brought our family together in certain aspects, especially my siblings. And then Jake and Jordan and Justin are very close with my sister and their kids. So a lot of things that they do together, the six of them, is family based. So, it's incredibly important to us.
Yeah. I mean, and then so as we talk about Father's Day, it's like, it's tough because at the same time, like you want to, as a dad or as a family, you want to do all these things together, but you also need that time where everybody's doing their own thing. And then it makes those special times so much more special, right? Because you're coming together.
For sure.
Like, but let's talk about then, as you guys are, both your seasons are going to come up pretty soon, right? And Coach, let's just recap a little bit of the basketball season. I thought you guys did really well. We got the FCX final. Like I said, that was a tough game for you. I remember being that.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But the team played so well all year. And you look back, anything that you think that maybe like, we're going to do different for next year coming up? I think you have a lot of return. I mean, you're going to lose Caleb and Nick.
That's big losses.
It's big losses, right? I mean,
but I think
people.
I don't think people are realize how when you lose, and I say this, when you lose a quarterback and a goalie, right? Even though they're not basketball first kids, either one of them, you lose leadership. You know,
True.
you lose leadership, you lose some toughness. So those losses, we have great experience coming back. You know, the two guards, Smitty and Bowman and Austin and Dylan and Jared. I mean, there are a lot of really experienced kids coming back.
I think you did a really good job bringing like Dylan and those guys up to it's some real good time at varsity that served you really well this year.
Yeah, we've had this philosophy really since we started. I mean, Sam started as a freshman.
Right.
Adam played a lot of minutes as a sophomore. Like I think it's one program. It's not really about grades. It's about building one program and connectivity between all the grades. You know, obviously, I think for the first time, the expectations of Staples basketball first time in my 3 years, the most in my 3 years, I think the expectations coming off of 2 FCX finals and 2 years ago state final is going to be the highest this year than it was in the previous 2 years. So we got a lot of work to do. The kids are working really hard, and you know, we're going to be ready to go. Our schedule just kind of came out for the year.
Oh, we did?
Today,
Okay.
yeah. So we know where we're going and when. And
Who are you opening up against?
So we open up on December 17th at home against Xavier in the FCX SEC Challenge. So every team in the FCX that night is playing a team in the SCC.
Gotcha.
And we drew Xavier, which is a top team in that conference. And we'll get the junkyard going on December 17th.
Listen, you guys get the biggest crowds. Like, I remember being like, a lot of the pictures we use is from like, because people just show up for those games. It's so much fun.
Yeah, listen, it's the winter. There isn't a lot else, to do. You have wrestling and other sports, but
you're winning though. People go when they're winning.
They're winning, and also like I'm not gonna like he's my dad, so there's gonna be bias, but like he's done a really good job of building up that culture.
100%. I think we expect them to win now.
Right. Well, we expect them to win, but like even the little things like just naming it the junkyard. It's like, and like the clapping that they do before the game with the starting five. Like we'll be playing like pickup basketball at the Y, and like as a joke, like we'll be doing the clap. Like it's just the whole like it's that culture piece, and it's the same thing with every sport, and it's something that I think in baseball it's something that we need to get better with. And like
Yeah, no, 100%. Even like I call it the junkyard now. Is that something you came up with?
No, it's actually my assistant. It was Coach Pick did.
Really?
Coach, I got to tell the story. He came up with the junkyard. He was like, what do wreckers do? They wreck things. And where do they wreck things? In the junkyard. So that was where that came from.
I did not know. No, I just thought it was always the junkyard. I kept calling it the junkyard.
No. That was a Coach Pick.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
I got to give him some props for that.
Coach Pick.
Coach Pick. All right, because I call it the junkyard. I thought it was always the junkyard. That's really cool.
Yeah, and I think, to be honest with you, I kind of challenge Jake and the seniors for next year. I thought that the crowds were not as good as they were our first year, to be honest with you. So I'm going to challenge, the seniors and super fans and everyone, and we're going to try to get them, because I think it's a community event. It's loud, it's exciting, it's indoors. It's a place where people should go. There will only be 9 nights. We'll only have 9 home games next year, but hopefully some stay-home games, and we'll see where we go from there. But
it is, and like when I get out and I'm always talking and trying to pump people, I'm trying to tell people, go to these games. They're so much fun, right? I mean all the sports. I mean, it's so much fun. Like even you go to these games, you're like, first of all, it's awesome athletes. You guys are awesome at what you do, right? And it's really great. Now, how the baseball season just ended. Yeah. And I think from the starting rotation, you guys are losing a few pieces, but a lot of the pieces are going to be back for next year, right? So what was the final message kind of when the season's over? What do you guys talk about, and what are you guys looking for next year?
So I think the initial thing was like, thank you, seniors. Like they were like all those guys. It was awesome. And I think like, I don't know, like for me, and I'm kind of like in this way, I'm kind of like him. Like even after last year's loss, like getting back to Palmer is like the thing that like you want to do.
Sure.
And it was easy for me after last year because I didn't like play. I was called up, but I didn't play last year, so it was easy for me to like go home that same day and be like, like I want to get back there. And I guess like when you make that run and it feels like a lot, and then you get back there and you lose, and it's kind of like I want to get back there, but like
it's a lot of work.
I need a second. So
exactly.
I like that.
I need a second.
So I mean now like I'm still you want it, like I want to get back there so bad, and I think that McFarland did a great job. Like, and we needed them, but those freshmen coming up to play, like they've like Cole Engraff, he's now playing like some pretty big games, and now like I feel like it was awesome for him to even get an at bat in the state chip and get an at bat in the semifinal. And he's gonna be Jules too.
Yeah,
but like those younger
yeah.
kids that like should be ready to get right into it next year because they now play in those big games and kind of know the atmosphere. So I think we're going to be really good next year.
100%, and I think you do a great job of that. And I think most coaches Staples do always thinking about high school is so tough. So I'm like you're starting from scratch almost every year because you don't know what you're gonna get, right? I mean, you got some good continuity, so you guys, but sometimes you don't. Like you might lose a class of. Think about when this junior class graduates, you're gonna lose Sam, you're gonna lose Adam. I mean, there's gonna be a big part of your team that's gonna go.
One person we haven't talked about is Mason, who plays.
Mason, that's correct.
I coach
that's right.
Who plays with Jake and Mason. I think Mason, from my perspective, I'm not going to speak for Coach McFarland, I guess, but I'll say
a little bit.
I think Mason is going to be an enormous piece for them, and he's going to be an enormous piece for us next year.
He had a good basketball season as well. He's a really good
and a really good baseball season too. Like he's a sophomore. He started. Nate Mason's a special athlete too. So he's, for me, he might be the key to what we accomplish next year. In that regard,
you're gonna need a big man, so he's gonna be stepping that role.
He's versatile. He's athletic. He's tough. He got the 4.63 to end your game.
That's right. Yeah. Two pitch 4.63. I remember that.
Two pitch 4.63, and then it goes into our finals. And just he was a lower left to upper right kid the whole year, especially in our FCAC tournament. He was great in the semis against Ridgefield and outstanding in the finals against Trumbull, and great in the state game against East Catholic. So. There's a lot of really good things.
Now, I don't want to trash Wilton, but how tough is it to play in that gym and shoot in that gym with the crowds behind it? Does it make a difference? Because I thought it would make a difference.
Place to
really?
Coach it's been my favorite place to coach games since I've been a head coach. I love the
field house,
there.
really.
I love it there.
And your guys don't complain about the shooting being weird.
I think hopefully, I assume you'll talk to Sam before the year. I think he'll say it's one of his favorite places to shoot.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, listen, he had 8-3 or something like that against 40 there against.
Yeah, they had the 40
against
game,
Ridgefield. But I love it, Coach. I love coaching there. I think it's a great atmosphere that they've done there. And
when I walked in, I loved it. Every time I walk in, I love it.
And like Kim Palmer, it's the field house.
Field house.
So.
Now VJ told me he's got some plans of turning out field house into that. That would be cool.
Well, I think they were doing the floor in the field house, right? Yeah,
that would be cool for us to try to host some of these games because our field house is big enough. I mean, not as big as that one, but it's we could host some games there. Yeah. For sure. So outlook for senior year here. Where are you going to school? Anything like that in mind? I know Michigan's probably where your dad is wishing for, but what are you thinking?
Right. So
I'll get more of you than your dad will, but go ahead, tell me.
Playing baseball in college is definitely something on my mind for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I haven't really had too much time to really show where I want to go. Michigan would be awesome. I'm not saying for baseball, but Michigan would just be cool to go for school. I'm not really sure. I think I'm really gonna find out maybe this summer with baseball, or even if I find out this summer that maybe baseball's not for me in college, then I'll find that out this summer. I'm not really sure, and that's one thing that we've talked about, and he's super supportive, and
of whatever you do, right? I mean, you just and it's same thing. Like my son plays soccer. I'm like, just do what you want to do. It's just be happy, right? I mean, that's what life's all about. And as a parent, like I said, we're always going to be.
My big thing, with this high school season, what I realized was before I decide whether I want to play baseball in college, I want to really enjoy it. I feel like I played baseball my whole life, and there's been times, a lot of it's been hard for me to enjoy just because of I've struggled a lot with certain aspects, and mentally I in the past I've gotten in my head a lot. So just finding out really what I want to do, and just having a summer where I'm going all in, but I'm really enjoying it will tell me what I want.
Sure, and I think it's one of my favorite shows is The Office, right? And one of the lines that Helm says, I wish I knew I was in the good old days before you leave them. Right? So right now you are. We know you are in the good old days.
Well, one thing that he said to me, he had such a great experience playing high school baseball this year.
Playing with it's one thing to play club sports, but playing
couldn't
with,
agree more.
Playing with your town across your chest or Staples, whatever, that's different. And I think Jocelyn said it at the banquet. You could really feel the town support. Although we didn't get as many kids to the game as we wanted to. You can really we didn't realize, but a lot of people were really supporting us, and that means that's awesome.
It is. It's and it's so I had you played college, but I also had Jenna Wider here, girls tennis coach. So she played Division I tennis, right, and then all that. And she said, "Listen, the best times I had was playing high school." Like, you can play the highest level, but you never, like you said, it's this thing about playing with your friends, people you grew up with. Like I said, you and Andrew have played 10 years together.
Right.
You're never going to get that no matter where you go the rest of your life, that familiarity.
Yeah, I get the sense for him it's going to be a lot about whether he feels like he can have that, if he can bring that high school experience with him to wherever he goes to the next level, right? If it's a job, it probably is not going to be right for him. But if it's a place where he likes the coach or he likes the school and he feels that he's comfortable with his teammates.
Yeah.
That's
like
my
for
sense.
me, like I've always been like a lot of like the summer and the fall club baseball. It's so like individualistic, and like I'm the type of person like I love leading, and like when you're playing like for your high school, there's something different about like being a leader, and like when you're playing club and everyone's worried about where am I committing, blah 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 blah, and it's like that's like one big thing. I'm more of like a team. I'm not like thinking about like my metrics all the time, and I think that's something because like my metrics aren't the best. Like I feel like personally, I'm more of like if you want to watch me at my best, like come to one of my games. Don't like put me in a showcase, but like that idea of like that high school baseball and like being like a leader, like he said, that's something that like motivates me a lot.
Yeah, and like in what you're saying there, I hear that a lot, right? I mean, I saw some stories this year of players that compromised going to finals to play for the high school, right? And you can't really. There's no tangible to that. It's just the love, right? The love of playing for your school. And I wish, like, and I hope more people that listen to this understand that what you're experiencing, that is what I wish every father let their kid experience, right? To represent your school, to play with your friends, to walk those halls after a big win, right? Right.
Like,
I mean, that is a cool
like
thing.
The little things. It's like the game day post too. It's just like, it's just like you have fans at the game, like you like. In like club ball, you don't like. It's just dads. It's just a bunch of dads.
Yeah. Although we like the dads,
we love the dads on Father's Day. But
no, I get it. No,
that's funny.
And that's the thing. Like with PrepZone, like some people like, why don't you like talking about going to a club? I'm like, no, we're covering our town, right? And this is like, and it was a girl from field hockey team. Like I won't share her name, but she came to me that day. She says, club is so boring. You're not around. I can't read about my game. There's no interview after my game. There's nothing. It's like it didn't happen. I said, well, that's why high school is so special, because you're playing for a community of people.
100%. I do think there are things you can work on though in club, right?
Sure.
I think
it's valid.
There's individual, motivations and working on yourself and how do you deal with certain situations. There's always stuff to improve on, and there's value, and Jake plays for a great, coach in this club program, and there's a lot of great things. But I think both of us, the thing that I think we both have most in common is we love high school sports.
How do you mean?
And that is, I have the greatest job. I think I have the greatest job in town. Will or Jack or Adam might disagree with me, but I have a great job in town, and I know Jake really loves.
Well, you guys are the three main, right? Basketball, football, and baseball. That's
Will, we can't forget about
lacrosse.
Yeah,
lacrosse.
Yeah,
lacrosse. Lacrosse in town is really getting big.
It's
professionally,
big.
it needs some work, but I agree that in high school level, it is just probably as big as those sports.
Oh yeah, I mean, especially in this town.
Yeah, and I mean, and the FSEC Fund this year was special. It was a fun game. Just like I equate that one to the one we played the semifinal of the basketball game.
Right.
That
so
was really,
and Adam had such a big piece in both of those games.
Yeah.
But that also, I was just going to say, like watching him play, coaching him, and then watching him do his thing on the lacrosse field. I think it just goes to Jake's point about like community and what it means to be a part of something like that, where you know someone, you have influence in him in certain areas, and then you see him succeed. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's nothing like playing with your friends or in beating your friends, right? The stuff. It's like there's nothing like it, right? I mean, I always feel like I used to have these pickup games with friends, and it's like they get competitive because it's almost more fun. And you go play against a team you don't know anybody, like okay, whatever.
And I think it's interesting because for club baseball, like a lot of the kids I play with, I'm playing against in the FCX. So
isn't that the best?
It adds to it. Yeah, it's awesome.
And I get to see, and us when we're just the dads that are watching, we get to talk. Like I'm really good friends with one of the dads from Trumbull, and we were actually just talking beforehand, and we just talk about the games and the seasons and the fact that Jake has competed against these kids for 10 years. it's special around.
It does go by fast, though. It
sure does.
It goes and like, as you know, I even like, you know, as I talk about these seasons, I was surprised of how fast they go, right? When you're invested, like it just goes by so fast. The next thing you know, it's over, right? And I'm thinking right now, like I'm already preparing for the fall, right? So it's just around the corner. The time just moves by so fast. Like I think I was talking to someone that said, "What like days drag, but months and years go in the blink of an eye." Right. So that's
your
really what it
basketball
is.
season's gonna come. Like it's crazy.
And
then all of a sudden the winter's over and now
and your baseball season, although it feels like it's short, I mean, your pitchers and catchers was like March 10th, and your season went to June 8th. It was only 3 months too, so it's just
the spring season does feel more condensed.
Feels condensed.
Yeah, it feels like because I was talking. I don't know. I think I was talking to VJ. It's like, well, they look at the last school that has a last day. Like I think if St. Joseph's had their last day, it was June 6th or 8th this year. So all the finals had to be before that. You know,
it's also
sports.
the weather, right? The
true,
weather,
yeah.
like you feel the first 3 weeks, 4 weeks of baseball, lacrosse, and
So
girls
cold.
field hockey.
50 degrees.
It's tough.
Yeah, it's like it's almost like the end of football, right? I've been in the prep game. It's like 10 degrees or whatever that game was. I'm sitting there like trying to find some heat by the bench. You know, that's why being inside the gym's not that bad.
Yeah, and even like, you know, we talk about big sports in town. Soccer is a huge sport in town too, right?
it is.
And it actually was the biggest sport in town before all of us.
But you know what I think, and this is just my point, my take on soccer has been club has really deflated the high school programs, not only in Staples, everywhere.
Right.
Because the recruiting is happening at club, right? So the guys, you look this year, the team suffered. There's a few guys that could have been on the team that decided to play club, you know, and could have been here. And listen, everyone does what they feel is right for them. But I think they're missing out. I think there's something special
I think that's
about
what's cool about baseball too. It's like not too many people leave public baseball. Like it doesn't. Like I think that's like because you can get recruited at any time. But I think soccer. I mean, it's two different sports, and I think the same. Like sometimes, like a lot of guys stay for basketball. I think some guys leave for basketball because it's hard to get, especially like in Westport, Connecticut. You know, if you're trying to like go to a good like basketball school, you kind of have to put yourself out there at a private school more because but
now you talk about exposure. Let me just before I forget, tell the story.
Go.
Remember the game that Larry Johnson showed up?
Yes.
So you came and you put a chair on that corner.
I did.
And I was standing right there, and I thought that chair was for me for a few minutes. And
I'm gonna make sure you have one next time. So don't. So.
But here's what's great: like you put the chair down, right? And I'm sitting there. I'm like, man, I'm really up, Coach Goldshore. Like really. But I felt so bad. I didn't sit next to the thing. I know Larry Johnson's next to me. I'm like, this is great. But then it was so funny. That was just from my perspective. It was funny.
I'm gonna say two things. The first is just to get back.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I just want to say that like someone like Avery Mueller, who lives right down the block from us, made the choice not to play club, and he actually mentioned it at his scholar dinner that it was really important for him to play high school, to play with his friends. So it's starting to happen. And I think the winning tradition at Staples is the sports is at its a peak right now. Yep. So hopefully we'll see more soccer kids too. But you know, getting back to you, like I can tell you, the kids love you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
They absolutely, they love you. They are they.
Well, it's like what we talked about before. Like the big thing about like when coming to the games and like getting like, you know, like, oh, like here's like the baseball report, how the game going, and like even like being able to just like see your name in the report, like that.
Dad, I made the prep zone. I made the prep zone.
That could make someone's like year, and like being able to feel like our games are being covered like they are at like college and pro levels. That just adds to the atmosphere. So like, on behalf of me, we all say thank you.
No, thank you guys. I mean, I was like, I know as I'm now, you know, this morning walk's going to be more about, you know, recapping the seasons, right? And like I want to say, it's like it's I go to these games and like. I come back home. Like I said, I want to talk to someone, so I talk to the computer. I write about them, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what I do because like I feel like I want to talk, and like in this, I'm like, oh, should I open like a post game show? Like I don't know what's gonna happen, right? We don't know. But the thing is, like, there's so much. I think like the people in town don't realize how good these games are until they get to them,
and the
level of play.
The coverage is down, Steve. Like the coverage is down across all the. Us coaches talk about the sort of have somebody there. I'm telling you, if you did a post-game show, they love the cleanup crew. Like anything that you do it will win. Yeah, it really will.
Appreciate
so
that
like,
because I do think like again, it's like to me, it's like I could be doing this, but if we didn't have that good games and good athletes and good people around, maybe it would happen, but it wouldn't. But my point is, I enjoy around being you guys so much, right? I mean, it's like the games are so good. Like I feel like look at like you said, you mentioned like there were some games, like I think there was a game where you guys had quite a few games that came down in the last minute, right? There was a lot of close games. And like the minute I left it, I want to talk about it. It's like somebody thought, so I get home and I start talking to, like I remember calling Steve in Ohio State and he's like, I said, Dad, I don't know what you're talking about. I said, I know you weren't at the game, but let me vent for you real quick.
Yeah, right.
And I'd vent, right?
This adds to our relationship, but after every one of his basketball games, especially like the school nights, I think we like literally watched the entire game on YouTube.
Oh, I've done it. I've done it.
He watches all the games.
I watch every game
with me after the game, and and Jake is, again, I think maybe it's the catching, it's the knowledge of sports. Just hearing me, like he knows a lot about basketball. And
but like I don't even necessarily watch it with him it's awesome to like see like someone hit the Sam, it's a three, blah, blah. But like the stuff that like I'll just learn from him, like he said, knowledge wise, like contributes on the baseball field for sure.
100%. And I think it was at the semifinal. I went back home and I watched it. So like I was at the game. Mm-hmm. I get back home and I'm watching.
This is the Ward?
The Ward game.
Yeah.
So I was watching, redoing my stats. And my son said, "You need help." I said, "Weren't you just there? Didn't you just score this game?" I said, "I want to make sure my scoring is right." He goes, "That's like," but the thing is like when you love something so much, like you're doing it, like I was there, I was so excited about that game, right? So I get home like I need to make sure I get all this right. So the point is, the games are so good, right? I mean, it's like I always go to your website to make sure my stats match with that. But the thing is, like we do such a good. I think as a school, we do such a good job with our sports that it, like you said, the coverage I think will pick up somewhat because I think everybody's seeing it like it is cool to do this stuff.
Yeah, the kids love it. I mean,
and the parents too, because I got a lot of feedback about our interviews. Like people always say, it's so good to hear from the coaches, and I think that's something that's different that we're doing. Is like a lot of different media's like they don't put so many emphasis on the coaches, but the coaches are a calming figure to the family. Like a parent might be like hot about what happened in the game, then you come on, you explain exactly what happened. People are like, oh, okay. Right? And it calms everybody down. It does. To some degree, it really does, because you want to hear, like, I think that you did a great job, and a lot of the coaches do this, like, it show that emotion after the game. And you kind of want to see that. Be a good, be a bad. You want to see something, right? Because you don't, most parents are not talking to you after every game. They're not, like, no, perfect world, they're never talking to you.
Because, like, when we watch, like, a Yankee game and, like, the Yankee manager, Aaron Boone, might make a questionable call, and now we're all like, why'd you do it? Why'd you do it? And we'll just never know. And that's like...
Exactly.
I'll be honest with you, though, after the game, I like talking about it. So it's not... I need to talk about what happened. What worked, what didn't work. I remember I watched some of our old interviews.
Yeah.
The one that sticks out to me is the Wilton one where we were down 15 at our place when we came back. But
which I misquoted you, by the way. I'm sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
That was great. I loved it. But go ahead. Yeah.
But it was a special game. But it was so emotional. I wanted to talk about it because it was emotional. So, I see when I see Jack do interviews, I see Coach McFarland do interviews, I see Coach Kashansky do interviews, I see Coach Behrens, Coach Russell. Like,
it's great, right?
They're all speaking like they want to talk about what just happened. Yeah. Definitely more after a win than a loss.
Yeah.
It's funny to see our interviews after.
But I also think like it's not even just a sports thing. Like for me, like if I take a test in school and I feel like I don't do great on it, like I'm probably calling one of my parents right away because I want to get like whatever I'm feeling. I want like someone else to hear it. And I think that's like the same way for sports. And like usually when it goes well, you don't feel as need the much to want to like get it out. But like, yeah, like I think that's like, you take a test and just,
And it's funny with the girls basketball.
You do well on all your tests.
So with the girls basketball, it's so funny because like I kept going to games and they had a tough start of the season. Yeah. So I think by the fourth game, one of the players came to me and says, "Why don't you interview us?" I said, "Well, why don't you win?" When you win, because one thing I decided in VG it's like we're gonna get players after wins, right? We want to get the smiles, everything like that. When there's a loss, we'll let the coach speak for the team, and I think that's been working really well because you don't want sometimes the emotion to get the best out of the player, and and at the end of the day, they're kids, right? Yeah,
they are, and you do a good job. Usually, you catch us. I think most of the time it's before. At times, it might have been before I addressed the team. right? So
Yeah, sometimes it is. Yeah.
So for me, it's I get a chance to gather my thoughts talking to you before I go back into that team room and talk to the team about whatever it is I'm trying to talk to the team about. So, yeah,
no, I think it's great. I mean, and I just want to say like a thank you so much because like same thing with you guys. Like the access is everything, right? The fact that. And I really feel welcomed, right? And it's funny because I used to talk about media and people say, oh, sometimes you go where you feel welcomed. And it's absolutely true because at the same time you want to be fair, but you want to feel like you're part of something, right? I mean, it's like something bigger. And I think I told you this, like I go back to the times of Mike and the Mad Dog, right? I mean, you probably don't know Mike, I'm talking about Mike and the Mad Dog. You know.
I can't believe he doesn't know Mike and the Mad Dog. It's crazy.
Sports Talk Radio before internet. That's who gave us our sports.
I mean, from 1 to 6 every single day. You turn on 660 and listen to these two guys that would break down every
game, every inning of everything,
any of everything.
Right, and they would get what we call the beat reporters, right? The beat reporters would come in, like for Yankees with Sweeney Murray, right? Sweeney Murray. So Sweeney would come on, and Mike and the Mad Dog would pound him to talk bad about their players, and Sweeney just wouldn't do it.
Who was the Mets guy?
Wasn't it? It was how? No, it was.
Wasn't Howie Rose?
God, I forget him because I pay more attention to the Yankees. But I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
He would get him on there, and he would try to get him to talk bad, and Sweeney wouldn't do it. And I get it why he wouldn't do it because when you're day to day with the team, you realize how great these players are as people, right? And how much they're trying to win. They're not. I mean, you guys are not there trying to mess up. You're trying to do the best job you can. You, Coach McFarland, your players. So it's like, why am I gonna, talk down on these people, right? So that's why I always feel the familiarity with you guys really helps in reporting because you kind of understand what's going on there, right? I mean, it's just what it is. Yeah. But yeah, Mike the Mad Dog, man, I can't believe you got to show him some clips of them talking to them later.
I remember in '94 it was like one day Rangers, one day Knicks, one day Rangers, one day Knicks. The year they
and then Dog would come on and talk about the San Francisco Giants, right? It's like so these guys literally it was like a 5-hour show every day, and they would. And the thing is, like, I would like look forward to this show on the radio every day, right?
Always.
I would change my schedule to listen to these guys because, like, it didn't matter if they were right or wrong. I just want to hear what they had to say.
They broke down everything.
I think, like, for me, like, especially like in elementary school, like, it's like hard to talk about because it's like, oh, like I wish, like, school's so serious now. Like, I used to like wake up probably at like 6 a.m. every morning to watch SportsCenter from like 6 to 7, and like I wouldn't leave. Like I would. Put in my Eggo pancakes and watch from 6 to 7, and at the 52nd minute of every hour, it was always the top 10 plays.
Yeah.
Now it's like I don't want to get out of bed till 7:45 for 8 o'clock school, and it's like it's just like it's something that like you look back on, kind of like wow, like I really miss that. And,
it is, and I think that's what we're trying to bring back with the PrepZone, right? It's just like this thing. Well, let's get really what people think about it and get the people actually, because that's a big thing of the Mad Dog was the callers, right? They would call in and they would vent to these guys, right? And it was like it was the best thing that ever happened. Like there's still some of it going on now. I know nobody listens much to radio, but
they do.
They do, yeah. I still listen a lot.
They still have. So do I.
Yeah,
I mean, when I was younger, like obviously I couldn't drive, so I'd be with him and like we'd have like some sports radio stuff on. But now it's like I'm driving, like the only thing really on is music.
Yeah, music. I know. Well, it's like and it's my dad early on. He would tell me, he says, you know what? He goes, the reason that it's so good at radio because the airtime is not so expensive, so they can spend a lot of time on it.
It is, but I also think it's because it's funny. I actually think my dad and I didn't talk about. He played basketball at Queens College. Like loved the Yankees. Huge Mickey Mantle guy. But we didn't talk about it with the same level of intensity that Jake and I do. Where I feel like almost they need a break from it. Right.
Yeah.
So we're talking about it so much now that they go into their car and they listen to Eminem or Biggie or whichever name I got wrong. But like for us it was amazing. Yeah, it was amazing. And Mad Dog lives in New Canaan, and he actually came to some of our games. He had a kid that played for New Canaan. So
that's cool.
So it was cool. It was
no, it is, and I think like and circling back, I am just so excited for see what we're gonna have this year, right? I mean, I think our teams are gonna be great. We're gonna have, I think basketball is gonna be baseball. I think football might, we'll see what happens there. But at the same point, it's like we're gonna be there. We're gonna cover it, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. And we just gotta get to your point, man. Playing a high school sport, people need to understand how important it is. Not only, I think it's part of your self growth as well. But playing for a talent is something you're gonna remember. It's only you only got 4 years to do it. Don't let it go by, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was sad coming off the field on watching them on Saturday. Man, I can't believe there's only one more left. it's nuts.
I was hurt my freshman year, and like I was fortunate that McFarland let me travel with the varsity team. And I remember after they had lost the state game, I think it was Oppie's older brother that even told me, he was like cherish it, these go by quick, and now you're going into your senior year, and it's like,
I know it goes by so quick, and it's I mean. You're right. You said it because I remember rugby won the championship, and I got coached right after. It's first thing he says, he said, "I'm sad it's over." Right? I'm happy you won, but the minute that hits you, it's over.
Yeah,
the season's over.
Won another state championship. It's just crazy.
Rugby. Yeah, that's another like rugby lacrosse sports I never thought I'd get into, man. And these things are like rugby's one. It's like I think is gonna start because it's real big, UK. And like I have a bunch of friends that say, you're gonna love this game. Yeah, I mean I'm really enjoying it. I think it's like I always say my vision sports is. I only say I don't like something if I know it. And once I get to know it, I love it. Like same thing, like I remember like being from Brazil, so baseball wasn't something we grew up with. But then I got here and I started doing it, it's like, man, this game is great. Mm-hmm. You talk about like the amount of scenarios these people are thinking about every single pitch, like in everything that's going on, right? If you're here to the guy, there's so many scenarios. I tried to explain to a guy the other day, he goes, stop it. You lost me like in 5 seconds in their explanation. Because I was trying to walk him, okay, let's say there's a guy on first, right? And then the ball is hit to your left side on the third baser. So what do? Because I remember there was a play, I think it was an enemy game, where it was a drop and then 3 guys went and Mason had to cover third or something like that, right? Yeah. Remember that play? It's like a drop. I mean, the amount of thinking that has to go in your mind, right? Think about, even as a pitcher, the minute the ball goes, where do I go? Where do I cover? Is every base cover? There's just so much that
Everyone's
happens.
always, if you're not, then a lot of coaches will say, if you're not moving, then you're probably doing something wrong.
Right. Exactly. The minute the ball is like, you got to move. It's crazy. It's a crazy.
What's your favorite sport?
Soccer. No, I take it back. Football.
Yeah, and what team? What's your favorite teams? And
Giants.
Yeah.
Big Giants fan. So my story about the Giants is I grew up in Brazil. Soccer was kind of the only thing you had. But they started doing some when Montana was big football. So they started Brazil had 4 channels. That's all we had for like the longest time. One of the channels would do a Monday night football game, but it would be like a delayed tape of the San Francisco 49ers. That's the only team we watched. So it's like when somebody forces something down your throat, you're either gonna love it or you're gonna hate it, right? It's gonna be. So I get forced the 49ers all the time in Brazil, and I started enjoying the game. So when I came to the U.S., I was in 6th grade. Then I believe it was the year the first year that the Giants beat the Bills in the Super Bowl.
90.
Right, 90. There you go. So that was like and I'm like, it was pretty much the first season I followed like along really. So I'm like, this is my team, and it stayed.
Great.
And then I was in Tennessee, then I moved here. But like as a family, football is the game we watch all together. Like it's unanimous at the house. Red Zone, man. It's like from 1 to 7 every Sunday. But then, like, I still watch a lot of soccer, a lot of basketball, because the Knicks are my second team after the Giants.
Right.
I loved, like, because I grew up in the Jordan era, but, again, somebody's forcing something down your throat, you go the opposite way, right? As a teenager, you're just going to do that. It's like, if they're forcing me the Bulls, I'm going to go to the Knicks.
Yeah, well, that's...
I would say, like, the sport we probably least watch the most is soccer, but when it's on, like, we still are able to, like I used to play, so we're still able to like follow the game, and I think that's awesome.
I mean, I grew up with soccer, so it's like I wouldn't say it's probably like it's really tough with football because the thing with soccer, it kind of loses. It lately has been like for the football, I'll watch any game, and this is why I say football is my favorite one. Football, I'll watch Jaguars play the Cardinals, whatever
on
it is.
Thursday night.
Right, on Thursday night, I'll watch
right.
it. Soccer, I won't do that. I'll watch the big games.
Interesting.
Yeah. That's why I think it changed my taste. I'll watch any football game. I watch the Alliance Football League. I watch all this kind of stuff. But then for soccer, I'll watch the UEFA Champions League. I'll watch, the big games. I'll watch the playoffs, all that. But I won't watch regular season games. And then it's like, but in basketball, I'll watch any game, right? So that's how I'm kind of leveling where my taste changed of that, because like I can't put up with like my team in Brazil was a team called Vasco, who's like relegated 3 times already. So it's like, and I never watch them anymore. So when you go to Brazil on vacation, people talk about it, and it like doesn't even hurt me anymore. Like your team stinks. I'm like, I said, dude, how are the Giants doing?
About the Giants,
it's like, I say, how are the Giants?
Right.
I've got a lot. I know they still stink. I've done a lot of suffering with the Giants, but but the thing is like, that's what to me. That's how I gauge that. And even like baseball, watching a game that I love scoring games. Like I was telling you before, I really do. I think it's a really cool thing to do.
to score the games.
Score the games.
But and I kind of realized this because we're Michigan fans, and after they won the championship, like I realized like actually like playing, like it's different. Like if the Yankees win, like at first I'd be like, yeah, that's awesome, but like 2 days later you're kind of like whatever. Like I would immediately trade like a Yankees World Series to even just playing in a state championship at Palmer. So it's kind of like, it's kind of interesting the way that works, that like you root for this team so much and they win and it's like my team won and like, okay. But like playing in a state championship, even though we lost, it was like, that's like, I'm never going to forget that.
I know. And that's maturity, I think, too. Because like as a young person, I remember this, like I would take the team I rooted for losses so hard. Now we don't anymore, right? I mean, it's like, okay, well, they lost, but, like, that's so funny. It's like I was talking to a girl that goes, you were coming on championship day for the Wreckers. You were talking like, I said, yeah, well, I was so invested in those games. Like, yeah, this is, to me, it's bigger than the World Series, man. Come on, we're playing these games.
I remember we were playing, I think we were playing New Canaan, if my memory serves me correctly, the night of the Michigan National Championship game, right? We had this conversation, right?
I asked
Yeah.
him, like,
And you said to me, would you trade a win? It was a regular season game against New Canaan, right? It was just it was 1-20 for Michigan. I go, I would not trade a win for a Michigan championship.
Not at all, right?
Close.
Not at all.
Not even
I know.
close.
I remember that was a good game for you guys, wasn't it? The New Canaan game. I thought because I watched it online. I'm trying to remember.
We were.
But you did win that game.
Yeah, no, yeah, we won.
I think we got it in the fourth quarter. Things got really well. Yeah, in the fourth quarter. Yeah,
that's a tough place to play.
Yeah,
that's a really tough.
Yeah, because I remember because I wasn't at a game, but I watched that game. Like I was doing the counts this year, how many games I went to, and I'm like, cause I remember the one I didn't go to, I kind of watched. It's like, but it's like, because you gotta again. My big thing is like I want to. When you're writing about the teams, you gotta be really familiar with what they're doing, right, from game to game. It's hard to just go to one game and write it, and then like 3 games later come back. You don't know what happened with those other 3 games.
Yeah.
So you got to really be there to understand, like, especially, with you guys too, is like, it's the pitching, it's this and that. A couple of times I tried to get Coach Mark, who you pitching next day? He goes, we're going to go back. I'm like, come on, tell me who you pitching. It's like, I want to know. Come on, tell me now. Like, here, we got the camera on. Tell everybody. He goes, we'll go back and think about it.
Think about things.
Tell me now. Like, right after the game, he's like, dude, give me a second. Let me think about it.
The guy's won 300 games in his career.
Right.
So.
He's like coach and staff. But it's, listen, guys, thank you so much. I can't wait, I can't wait for next season to start. Like I said, I'm ready to start, planning a lot of things. I think we're going to, it's going to be a lot of fun. And like I said, hopefully, people are going to get out there and realize like they're missing out not being in these games.
Well, and I want to thank you. This is really special for me. Really is.
This
like
is
to be able to do this with him is.
Are you kidding, guys?
Is great.
This
so
is great.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, this is awesome. I mean, I think it's very unique what you guys have, right? I mean, it's like you both play championships game for the Wreckers. You're both the same school. It's not everybody gets to do that, so it's really, really, really cool. And like you said, the relationship here comes like it seems like it's really tight. And I think like I hope a lot of people that are watching this today get to understand of how even you're a coach, but you can still kind of lay back, let them do their thing, and let them come to you. I think that's the biggest thing I got from today. Let them come to you.
It is, but I'll say this: so I've coached, I think, over 55 games for Staples, or some 52 games for Staples in the last 2 years. The most nervous I've ever been was watching him play the 10th inning of the Ward game. In any game, I couldn't even breathe. So,
I know. That was tough.
It's at the end of the day, your dad first.
100%. I was doing like that when I was telling him like I started a live stream on the 7th, and then when they tied, and there was like 200-300 people watching on that Instagram feed, and I said I gotta come back because now I can't leave him hanging. They tied, so every inning I was doing it right, and it's like my phone was shaking, so my wife's like, "Stop shaking!" I'm like, "Well, I can't sit still." I was like, "What do you want from me?"
And he gets the big hit in the 10th, and I get text after text after text after text from like the Twitter feed that went out for it.
Yeah.
And again, like I don't get the opportunity to coach him in basketball, but having him see the success, it was just it was awesome.
Listen, it was amazing. Like, because that hit gets overlooked. But that second run that you got in, that was a big run. Because if we go in that inning, especially because the base got loaded that inning, right? I mean, I know Mason come out and got a double play, but the bases were loaded in that inning. So that second run really kind of gave Coach something to be able to play around with the pitching there. So because if you go in that run lead, that's it's a ball game.
Yeah,
1 or 2 is a big difference. So that was a big hit. No, it was great. Guys, I can't thank you enough for being here. It was a lot of fun. Happy Father's Day, Coach.
Thank
Happy
you.
Father's
Happy
Day.
Yeah,
Father's Day to
thank
too.
you. All
Happy
right.
Father's Day to you.
Enjoy the day, and we'll see you guys very soon.
Thanks
Thank
again,
you.
Steve.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.